Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke, so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Left of the box. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandy. And main shot. Okay, there we go. I'm still getting used to all these controls, even though I should be used to it. I see what happened. They got out of order. I hit the arrow when I shouldn't have hit it, so now the main shot is not where I thought it. Anyway, you guys don't need to know this. Welcome to the Sandbox. Let's check in. It looks like Norman N was the first one in and first one out, so hopefully he can come back later on. Looney Tunes 9000. We'll talk about you in a moment. We also have John Litham, MIDI Doctors. And it looks like those are the people. Oh, Hunger Games, 1989. Also, in the Sandbox. Welcome. I appreciate all of you coming out. It's going to be an interesting show, I think. It was only when I was putting together all the notes and everything for it, I realized that for the majority of the stories I'm covering, it's all about white women being upset. I'm like, wow, okay, that's quite the coincidence. Representation, yay. But yeah, I have been clipping my live streams. Please, if you can, go to my channel. click on the clips. You don't have to watch them. I'm letting you off the hook. You don't actually have to watch the clips. Just click them, open another tab, mute them, do whatever it takes. They're not doing so well. um, it's one of the things that I understand the process. It's going to take a while for clips to kind of pick up momentum, but it's a bit of balance. It's taken me a long time to clip these videos because I have to like rewatch my own stream, find areas to clip out, then rewatch that. Then, you know, I tend to pause a lot while I'm talking to you guys, so I have to clip out all those little pauses and stuff to make it flow a little bit more. And so much work's going into it, and then sometimes it's like, ooh, 100 views, which once upon a time I would have been thrilled about that. Unfortunately, that can actually harm my channel's algorithms right now. So, but it's the long game. It's the long game. It's knowing that at some point these clips will pick up momentum, and it's just a matter of sticking with it, putting in the work now to hopefully get it going in the future. Also, I'm learning a lot about me doing this. It's kind of the same when I first started to edit my regular videos, my essay videos for my channel. And I started to realize that some of my mannerisms, some of the ways I talk, didn't come across the way I thought it did. My inflections, my sarcasm, like all of that. And so I kind of had to relearn how to present myself so that things like my sarcasm could actually translate, because I realized I'm getting it now, why so many people couldn't understand my sarcasm. And because I have a hard time perceiving how other people view me. So it was taking some time, but it was a good observation exercise of me. I don't know. I dissociate so much. It's like I'm watching somebody else do it. And yeah, it was interesting just to learn more about me. And now I'm doing that with the live streams, going over them in detail, watching me, watching how I present. And I realize there are some things I desperately need to work on for my live streams. One problem I have while I'm talking to people is I can change the context or perspective of the point of view I'm talking about. And I realized in one of my videos that I was going to clip, it sounds really bad. It sounds like I'm saying that, whereas no, I was trying to get across the point of view like men think it's horrible that they have to compete against women now in order to get jobs, and jobs are the thing that helps them to get women. So that's horrible that, so men think it's horrible that this is a thing, whereas I was leaving out the men part. And I was saying, so it's horrible that men have to do this. And it's like, I'm rewatching it and it's like, no, it just sounds like I'm saying it's horrible that, women are working. That's not what I'm saying. And I hope people understand that's what I meant. I don't know if it's an autistic thing or not to do this. Because, yeah, I have to really start focusing and being conscious of the perspective I'm talking about, or to really exaggerate it and stuff, because I've been finding some of my live streams at times I'm a little low energy and it's not that interesting to watch me, so I have to keep up with these facial expressions as much as I can, because it's a little bit more interesting that way. I say the words, way too many times, and I have a lot of pauses where I am literally like saying a sentence and then I'll just stop kind of like mid-sentence like that, like in between words, because I'm doing that instead of adding a whole bunch of ums and ers. But sometimes it looks like I just, like the computer just suddenly starts doing a donut or something. Like it's so sudden where this pause is, and then the sentence picks up like there was no gap at all. Really interesting stuff. So in the clips right now, you're going to see a lot of cuts in them because I'm trying to clip them together as best as I can. And so, yeah, I'm just having to, like, I was disappointed with myself with that one clip in particular that I wanted to put up, because I thought about like, how do I rephrase it? Do I add new content to rephrase it? Do I clip that out, add me in? Like it was just becoming too complex, so I decided not to clip it out. And then there's videos that I clip, I put all the work into, I've re-rendered it, and then realized, yeah, I don't think this is going to work. So it's been taking a lot of time to do these clips. But like I said, hopefully it pays off. The shorts did. The shorts, but in particular with Ravana, they did quite well, which was nice. And got some interesting feedback on the one I did about maid. We'll get into that. Just that is one subject. So that's medical assistance in dying, for those of you who don't know. Even when I was on Rebel HQ, I did a video about that, and that stirred up so much emotion in the comments section. People who just weren't watching all of it, part of it, heard a couple words and made assumptions about what it was interesting. And I've been getting a lot of that with this video too. So we're going to dive a little into it for people who maybe don't really know my stance on it, even though I probably have some of the most in-depth videos about maid on my channel that you're going to see on the left. Oh, let's see. Now is a good time for me to check the Sandbox to make sure like my audio has been working this entire time. See if anybody's screaming at me for some reason or other. Oh, da 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 da. Well, Norman M was still sticking around for a bit. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Hunger Games 1989. Why do people care about mannerisms or comment on appearance in videos as long as the info is reliable? Not meaning you, Sandy, but I have seen others comment on looks or mannerisms on correct info. Well, for the mannerisms, it's more about presentation and emphasis. So I can understand mannerisms because you're putting on a show when you're doing these videos. You're putting on a show. So you want to have interesting mannerisms and stuff to really emphasize what you're saying. Appearances, that I've always found interesting. You know, if you don't like the look of the person, you can always just not look at the screen for the most part. But people are still very superficial online. Shocking. People are superficial online. And I don't see the need of it because when I watch online content, it's not to thirst over people. Well, not their appearance. I thirst over brains. I'm not a zombie, I swear. I like intelligence, and I don't need to be watching the screen in order to hear that intelligence. I have gotten some of the comments on my videos. It's finally broken through. They've been picking up enough traction to bring in the groups of people that will say, I didn't know Marilyn Manson had a YouTube channel. The most unoriginal comment possible. When I was at Rebel HQ, I got that one a lot. And it's like, yeah, you didn't put any thought into it. And you know, unlike Marilyn Manson, I didn't have to pay for this complexion. It's completely natural. So I really don't care about comments like that so much. Like, yes, I have issues with my appearance, as I've been open about before on this, especially with aging and size and all that sort of stuff. But do I actually care about comments I see on that? No, no. It's one of the things I've learned to kind of ignore, not pay attention to, because if I were to react every time somebody said something about my appearance since I was a child, that's a lot. So I've learned to just not care, and it's generally speaking, it's a reflection of the person who's making that comment, not of the person that they're making the comment about, where they have to kind of stoop to that level because they feel so crappy about who they are that they feel the need to put somebody down based on things that they can't help about themselves. You know, I did not choose this complexion I didn't have to pay for. You know, and that's why I find it weird sometimes when people will like, oh, you have the best eyes ever. And it's like, again, it's not something I chose. So you're complimenting me on something I had no control over, which always felt kind of weird to me. Like, there's something about complimenting the hair and the makeup and the outfits and accessories and things of that sort, because that's something that you actually have to do. You have to put effort into. It's not something you're just born with. But yeah, I've never really seen the need to comment on people's appearance, and I don't understand why people are so much in the comments about that. But I don't run into much of that. I hear women tend to get a lot of that in their comments. Like Ravana has mentioned it before, and I've heard other women mention it before. That's not really a problem with me. It's mostly I get the Marilyn Manson comment. I also get comments about me looking like a vampire, the Queen of the Damned, or something of that sort, which, again, if you're calling me a vampire, gee shucks, thanks. It's nice of you. I and in their life, that I'm not saying I want to be a vampire. They're sexy. They are sexy. It's what I dress up as every Halloween, every chance I get. So calling me Queen of the Dam or a vampire isn't exactly an insult. Anyway, yes. Happy LT9K Day. That's Looney Tunes 9000, who is a mod in the Sandbox and was one of the first mods in the Sandbox before it was even known as a Sandbox. It was known as chat. And almost every channel I go on to, I see Looney Tunes is a mod. And not only is Looney Tunes a mod, I actually don't know your gender here. I'm just going to say they. They are always very supportive, adding in extra links, reminding people to hit the like and subscribe. I'm constantly seeing them put in links to my webpage, to other content of mine, which is so, so helpful because I totally forget to do that. It's like having another part of my brain working in the chat, so I don't have to do that. I don't have to focus on that. I have people there I can rely on, especially like Looney Tunes 9000, which I really, really appreciate. I wish I had more that I could do for you, but here, let's just do this. So it's Looney Tunes 9000 Day. Woo! Woo, wow, yay! That's not cancel. I'm hitting these, yay! In my program. Woo! Looney Tunes 9000 Day. Here, I can even move it around a bit. Ah! There we go, yay! I don't know. Ah. No, no. Is this what you do with this? I don't know. Suppose I could wear it like a hat. I don't know. Maybe one here, and then let's get this one here, and we can move it around. And hopefully you're even seeing this. Oops, I did something I'm not supposed to. Let's do that. I imagine you are seeing this on the screen. Let's make it big. No, I want to turn it. How do I turn it? Do I use this one? No. Do I? Then that moves something. Trying to do this in OBS Live is not ideal. But here, let's bring this one up. So, Looney Tunes. Are these even horns? I don't know. But yeah, we really appreciate all you do, Looney Tunes. It's really, again, I love the community we're making here. It's a great community. And, it's because of people like you that I can rely on to be a mod to help keep the sandbox clean so that I can focus on rambling content that, entertains the masses. The 12 people that are in here. Yeah, but I'm sorry I don't really have much more I can say other than I will try to read all of your comments out loud. So please don't spam because we have a thank you, Sandy. Yay. Oh, no, if we go up earlier, we have you're saying hi to other people. Oh, hello, Letter Hack. Let's see. And you're thanking the letter hack? Thanks, Matt. You know his name, which is better than some people he's brought onto his show. You're also acknowledging other people, which is always great that you're always acknowledging people as they come into the sandbox to make everyone feel welcome. Hello, Christy Zed. Yes, you're lurking, and that's fine to lurk. I lurk a lot of the times. Hey, that's what I'm here for, is what Looney Tunes says. Yeah, my dogs are golf. Hi, Looney. Happy LT9K day. I put my stocking out last night, but I see you didn't fill it with good things. Well, he's filling it with good things from his heart, putting it out in the universe, that sort of thing. The stocking is full of positive thoughts. Yes, okay, Looney Tunes, you are seeing the horns. Are they horns? I don't know. Was I just blowing on paper? Like, I don't know. They're celebratory things. Yes. Aw, my pleasure. Yeah. Okay, so why don't we actually get on with like some of the news stuff of the day? Because I have a fair bit that I want to cover. And like I was saying at the beginning, I found it very interesting that I have. Oh, and special announcement coming up about my next live stream that I'm going to be doing. I'll announce that in a little bit. That's called, suspense. Going to lead you on, let you wait, keep you on the hook. So you're wondering, what do I mean about a special announcement for my next live stream? You'll find out. So, yeah, most of my news stories feature white women being stereotypical white women. It wasn't something I realized until I was like gathering up all the information. It's like, oh yeah, white women, white women, white women, all of them aggrieved, all of them upset, all of them lashing out at other groups and organizations. It's quite the thing. But before we get into the complete white woman aggrievement, let's see. We'll start with a couple of updates on Gaza. I don't have too much about it today, so let's just go here. From Owen Jones. Oh, right, gotta make this bigger now for you guys. Oh, and if I'm ever starting to talk and I've switched my perspective and you're not sure which perspective I'm talking about, please let me know because it is something I'm trying to work on. Trying to have coherent sentences that aren't jumping all over the place. Another thing I'm working on, but that's the ADHD in me. One thought comes in my head and I start rambling about that and totally forget that I'm looking at the screen right now about what I'm actually wanting to talk about. Let's get to that. I hope this is entertaining. I don't know. Is it entertaining to watch somebody with ADHD go over the news? Let's see. So, from Owen Jones, there is no evidence in Israel's dossier for UNRWA's staff being involved in the October 7th attacks. What? Shocking. Completely shocking. Just boom, shocking. That's according to Channel 4 News, who have seen the dossier. So, Western governments ended their funding during a humanitarian catastrophe without any evidence. Oh, I hate cookies and all. I ignore them all and I delete them all and I don't care because I don't see odds. Anyway, the UN Secretary General has announced an investigation into UNRWA, funded 75 years ago, the aid refugee. But in a dossier just 6 pages long, Israel has alleged that 12 of the agency's more than 13,000 staff in Gaza were involved in 7th October attacks, leading nations, including the UK and the US, to withdraw their financial support. But apparently, there's no actual evidence of that. Again, can't say I'm surprised because in all the reporting that I was seeing and stuff with the government saying we're removing our funding, there was always that word alleged. that there were an alleged 12 people that were part of the Hamas attack on October 7th. This is alleged information, alleged. So based on alleged information, Canada pulled their funding for the most vital service in Gaza right now. Like literally people are going to not be alive because of the actions of these countries pulling their funding for this vital organization. Not surprised. What, Israel lied to us? Never. This is... We all knew it was a farce to begin with. And just seeing the leaders of Canada, of the United States, go up there and say, we're pulling our funding for this because of this alleged information was shameful. Completely shameful that they would do that. Especially, coincidentally, the same day the ICJ said, yeah, there's probable cause or probable genocide happening right now. And so what do our countries do? Well, we're going to pull our funding for the organization that has the infrastructure in place to actually disperse goods and food and medicine and stuff like that, so that they're incapable of doing that because of a potential 12 people that were involved in the Hamas attack. Those people, if they exist, weren't there on behalf of UNRWA. You know, they weren't part of that attack representing UNRWA. They were just people who happened to work there. And as many people have pointed out, the cops sent lots of people to January 6th in the United States. There was lots of law enforcement officials there, not representing law enforcement, but that was their job. And if you look at the Freedom Convoy here in Canada, same thing, lots of people from law enforcement involved with that. And if you look at any, large-scale attack like that, you're going to find people of all different professions brought in for whatever extremist reason to commit this attack. And you don't hold all of dentistry responsible because one of them might be a dentist. You don't hold all farmers responsible because one of them might be a farmer. It was a ridiculous premise in the first place to pull the funding, even if it does prove to be true that 12 people from that entire organization just happened to be part of the Hamas attack on October 7th. It is just unacceptable that our countries would, what's the word? I believe it begins with a C, where you make things worse. Compile? No? This is another thing I have to work on during my live streams, is to actually think of the words before I try to say them. Compound. Yes, that's the word that I want. That we would then compound the situation in Gaza by removing the funding. It's horrible, horrible stuff. But I saw a teeny tiny news thing. It was on Democracy Now! That I first saw it, and it was literally a sentence. And then I had to go searching online to see if there was any more information on it. But Democracy Now! Mentioned it, so let's bring it up. Nicaragua threatens to take UN and others to international court over Gaza war. More cookies. No, go away. Warning from Daniel Ortega's government alleges that weapons from several Western countries are being used to commit genocide against Palestinians. Yeah. Canada is sending weapons over to Israel that are non-lethal, but are put together into lethal things that are then part of the genocide. Nicaragua has warned Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Canada that it will take the countries to the International Court of Justice over allegations that weapons they are providing Israel are being used in genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. In a bilingual Spanish and English statement, the Nicaraguan government said the four countries had supplied arms to Israel to facilitate or commit violations of the Genocide Convention in the Gaza Strip. Nicaragua's leftist government said it had delivered a verbal warning to them of its decision to hold them responsible under international law. So, on this Twitter page here, we actually have the press release. Nicaragua calls on UK, Germany, Netherlands, and Canada to immediately halt the supply of arms, ammunition, technology, and or components to Israel as they may be used to facilitate or commit acts of genocide in Gaza. Press release. The Government of Reconciliation and National Unity informs the people of Nicaragua and the international community that it has notified the governments of these countries in its decision to hold them responsible under international law for gross and systemic violations to the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, international humanitarian law, and customary law, including the law of occupation in the occupied Palestinian territories, in particular the Gaza Strip. In this vein, in a note verbal sent to these governments, Nicaragua called. So, yeah, lots. You can pause it here. I don't know how interesting it is just watching me read all of this information. So if you have Twitter, you can go find this. If not, you can just pause the screens and watch this and read it yourself. But basically, we have somebody actually threatening to hold our countries accountable. Please do. I'd appreciate somebody holding Canada accountable for what it's doing, because nobody in the government seems to be doing it. We're going to get a little bit more into that in a bit. Yes, please hold us accountable. So you can also see the press release here in this very long tweet. Like I said, if you want to read the whole thing, you can just pause the screen or check them out on Twitter. But it's good to see that anybody, is actually saying, about those weapons that you're still selling. They're going towards genocide. That's a big no-no. And we do have protests here in Canada with people blocking trains, blocking ports to weapon exports, weapons that are going to Israel. We need more of that. Very little coverage in the press on that, but it has been happening. It's great to see. Is this part of this? Yes. So, on top of that, from Agent NDN, more attempts to change the topic from Canada's complicity in Israel's genocide against Palestinians as the October 7 narrative continues to fall into a million pieces and no independent investigation have been carried out. They're going to call SA and the ICJ Hamas pretty soon. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. So, from Foreign Minister Melanie Joly announces that Canada will sanction Hamas. Going to sanction Hamas for attacking Israel on October 7th. Yeah. Sanction Hamas, support IDF is, because, horrible what Hamas did that day. Tens of thousands of people, children, since then have died in the Gaza Strip because of Israel. And not a peep from my government on maybe sanctioning them for that. The fact that the ICJ has said, yeah, it's probably genocide happening over there. Only response from my government is to halt funding to the one organization handing out supplies. Gross stuff. But here's Melanie Joly talking about this.
Today is the 4th month since the October 7 terrorist attacks. We will be sanctioning Hamas leaders and Islamic Jihad leaders today. I'll have more to say later in the afternoon, but let me be clear, Hamas is a terrorist organization and they will be held accountable for their terrorism. Today.
Yeah, so we're going to sanction leaders of a terrorist organization, not a government, not a country, Basically, what, they can't go to Canada anymore? They can't have any Canadian dealings, businessship like they were before? I don't see the point in sanctioning terrorist leaders in another country, what good that actually does. I don't know. This country is very shameful, this country, in its actions on this. Just, we know what's happening over there. We see it. And my country's response is to pull funding for the organization handing out medical supplies and food. We can see from satellites the destruction that has been caused. The crater impacts from the 2,000-pound bombs being dropped. We know what's happening over there, and yet my government stays quiet. It really is. You know, I don't want to wait for history to judge us. I don't want to wait that long, because by that time, it's going to be too late for the people in Gaza. Something has to happen now to stop this. And my country, the United States, we have the power to actually apply pressure on the Israeli government to stop this. Instead, we're aiding and abetting. Again, not shocking coming from this country, considering all the genocides it committed. I still can't get over the irony that in Canada we have hate speech laws, so we're not allowed to promote a genocide. I'm not allowed to get on here and actively say that I want a genocide somewhere, you know, and promote that type of hatred. And yet my country can actively participate in a genocide and support another one going on overseas. Absolutely disgusting. But let's check the Sandbox, shall we? Looney Tunes 9000, my stocking is full of positive things. Replying to somebody else? Okay. Hunger Games 1989, being white, hysterical white woman. Yes, yes, it's going to be... Melanie Jolie is one example of them, although she wasn't part of the main story. We'll get to the white hysterical women. I have them all listed in the description box, so I need to get around to them. Let's see. My dogs are golf. Once again, regular Palestinians pay for another's crime with their lives. Yes, unfortunately. And good for Nicaragua. I said it right the first time. Hunger Games 1989. What about the United States? They are giving the biggest and deadliest weapons along with money. They're also being targeted by what the Nicaraguan government is doing. MIDI doctors, I think Gaza is kind of blockaded right now, sort of sanctioned about as much as it can be. Yeah, there's... You're sanctioning the terrorist leaders from doing what exactly at this point? Having a Canadian bank account? Hunger Games 1989. Can Hamas be sanctioned? I didn't think they were part of a war crimes or whatever South Africa did. That's why the courts couldn't ask for a ceasefire. Yeah, I'm kind of... That's kind of where I'm kind of getting at with this. It's like, I don't know how you can sanction individuals. Like, I guess there are ways of doing that, but and by sanctioning, it would mean that you put a freeze on dealings with Canadians. They can't come to Canada. Things can't be... I don't understand it. But it's still just ridiculous that my government is making it about Hamas as opposed to what the IDF and the Israeli government is doing to the people in Gaza. Looney Tunes 9000. Sandy needs your help with Frodo's vet bills. To help out, those are the links. Yes, please. If you can. He ate last night. Yay! It's a night by night thing with him. Some nights he barely eats anything. Some nights he eats more. It's a struggle getting him to eat. But I was supposed to put powder on his food to help him, some probiotics and stuff. But I found without the powder, he eats more. So I'm going to try again without the powder to see if he continues to eat more. It upsets me now because during the day, whenever I approach him, he thinks I'm going to give him medication, so he runs away from me. And then the time of day when it comes to give him actual medication, I have to like chase him down and stuff, and I hate it. I hate it. And there used to be a time where he would be sleeping on my bed and I could just go up and nuzzle him and give him kisses and stuff, and he would love that. But now, as soon as I try to approach him, he'll jump off the bed and hide under it. Like, at least at night, when it's just me and him in the bedroom, he relaxes because I think he knows I'm not going to try to dose him with medication then. And he sees where I was all night, so he knows that I haven't gone out and got medication. So he's still pretty much himself that time of night and morning and stuff. Which is nice because there's things that I can do with Frodo that the other two babies don't like. Okay, what I love doing with Frodo is we put our foreheads on each other. It's the sweetest thing. I love nuzzling into it. Anyway, getting distracted. Looney Tunes 9000, adding some links. Mentioning that you can do an transfer as well. John Litham, apologies for lurking. I tend to multitask when watching live streams. So do I. There's lots of live streams that I use specifically to have on as background noise while I'm doing other things. Or dishes, or I play games a lot of the time. I can't just sit down and watch a live stream. I have to be doing something else. I'm not the type to just sit down and listen. I'm usually playing. I have this old computer, like I mean really old computer, that I will like hook up a pedal generator to if I need to, that has some games on it that were before the internet type of games, as in they came on a CD-ROM. And so you install the games and then there's no ads. You have the game is yours. There's no updates. You get to play it like it is over and over again, and it's great. And I love these games, and I wish I could get more games like that. Like even just the Windows old-fashioned solitaire, the way that they used to have it before suddenly it was like all this weird bizarre sign in and bonus things and online. I hate that. I just want to play the game. That's it. No ads, no add-ons, no changes. I don't like changes to the things that soothe me. And so I usually have a set order in which I play these games. And so I do that. Yeah. Let's see. Oh. Shall we get on to the aggrieved white women? Oh. Yeah. So let's start with previously on Left of the Box. From Judy Gold's Instagram account. This is her approaching Yuck Yuck's comedy club, where she is part of the Stand Up for Israel tour, where all proceeds go towards the Friends of the IDF. Huh. No, that's not a joke. That's not part of the stand-up act. It really is a thing that happened. And this is her posting footage of what it looked like trying to get in the back door of this, and how strong she had to be to get past this mob of people. Ooh, that's loud.
Today. This is comedy today. We're going to our comedy show tonight.
Peacefully, but this will happen. Murderer. You're a murderer. You're welcome to chat. You're paying for the murder of children. You will not block enjoyment of property, intimidation, and mischief. There you go.
Thank you.
Can you go in?
Still three of you?
Thank you. This
Yeah, and she posted that with the comment here, Jews have used humor as a coping mechanism for thousands of years, and we're not going to let anyone stop us now. Thank you, Toronto, for a sold-out show. Yuck Yucks is not exactly a large venue, so just it's not as impressive as it sounds. Anyway, yeah, very disappointing when I came across this, and I was putting together a little video because I covered it when we were talking when Dan from the internet was on my show. And it's one of the things again about live streams. I'm looking back at that, I'm like, oh, that's not the way I wanted it to turn out, because the first poster we were looking at, there was a lot of confusion around it, and it turns out it was a poster asking people to come out to protest, and that's where the confusion was. But I found the poster that was actually on the Yuck Yucks page promoting it, and so we were talking about that. And then there is this from the National Post. Anti-Israel crowd fails to shut down Stand Up for Israel comedy fundraiser in Toronto. And I was mentioning to you Americans out there that this is a right-wing rag. This isn't exactly something you want to be proud of. Well, apparently, this American knows. Aaron Berg, he was one of the other comedians, if you want to call them comedians, at this fundraiser for the Friends of the IDF, again, I was looking for a clip that was just driving me absolutely crazy of somebody starting the show saying, yeah, this is to help raise money to all the brave people out there fighting in Gaza on behalf of Israel. Trying to find that clip was driving me crazy, but it led me to go back and find this stuff. And you can go back to my live stream where I was covering that. Just super frustrating trying to find that clip. Like, spent 2 hours trying to re-find that clip that was on Instagram. But I remembered somebody had tweeted out this headline, and it turns out it was this guy here, who is followed by Judy Gold, because, well, they were at the same event together. And if you scroll down, here we go. So apparently, this American knows. Big win. Even the mainstream press came around. Right-wing press on our side, too. I could be okay with mainstream media coming around, but if you're saying right-wing press is on our side, you might want to reevaluate your values. Just saying. That's not something to be bragging about. Like, ooh, the National Post covered me positively. Yay! As I said, like, if the National Post ever covers me in that way, there's something wrong. It's a cry for help. But this American apparently knows. But the thing is it got worse. It got so much worse. Just the beginning of a great tour with me, Rich Voss, and Judy Gold. And he's tweeting out a video from Rebel News. There's this video from Rebel News that he's tweeting out because look, they covered us so positively. Okay, again, for you Americans who don't know, Rebel News is kind of like OAN. Extremely right-wing, extremely performative, extreme grifters. I covered him recently where he was assaulted by a police officer, in which case he actually was. The guy who does a lot of their coverage and stuff, David Menzies. And truth be told, he shouldn't have been arrested by that police officer for what that that plainclothes police officer did. But to say he was playing it up is putting it mildly, and he often goes to these events to try to do that sort of thing, and he was trying to make it into a fundraiser, like, right away. Like, before he even came out of the police car, it was up on their website to raise money for his defense. Massive right-wing grifters. And here's Aaron Bragg, part of this tour, tweeting it out. Just the beginning of a great tour. Having Rebel Media cover you.
Down with the fire department and others, but it's the comedy show before the comedy show.
Government of Israel pretends they didn't know about it. But 2 weeks before October the 7th, Netanyahu was boasting with a map of all of Israel from the river to the sea. Do you really believe, Mr. Pressman, that the Mossad is that stupid? Ridiculous.
Nice thing about Canadians is you can put it to 1.5 speed and they just sound like they're talking.
It's true, it's documented.
2,000 some people have died so far.
Where did that number come from?
Al Jazeera?
Where did that number come from?
Al Jazeera or TikTok? Do you watch the people in Gaza right now?
Oh, TikTok is your source of information?
Do you have any information
Oh, TikTok is your social information, eh? This guy really brings out the Canadian accent in me.
on what's going on in Gaza?
David Menzies for Rebel News here in downtown Toronto. And folks, I'm standing outside the Yuck Yucks Stand-Up Comedy Club, which is hosting tonight a show called Stand Up for Israel. And here's the thing, it has been met by a demonstration of the pro-Hamas types. They are just
the pro-Hamas types against that genocide. Like, just the framing and everything. This is not a pro-Hamas crowd. It's an anti-genocide crowd. Let's see. Let's get to, I think.
They go hand in hand. Everybody knows that, right? All around the world, you see the connection between...
sorry, Ali, we're being interrupted by this lovely lady here. Sorry, ma'am, I couldn't hear you. What, are you talking about the October 7th incident in Israel?
They are committing a genocide?
Hamas is, yes, I totally agree with that.
Hamas is a resistance group.
Oh, is that right? Okay, it's recognized as a terrorist group.
Establishment of Islamic Society. It is a resistance group because their land has been occupied. Their land has been... Israel is a Zionist state. Zionism is terrorism. Just answer that question with yes or no. Was Hamas around 75 years ago? Was Hamas around 75 years ago? No. I'm asking.
The Most High gave this land to the Jewish people. We go back to the time of Moses.
So basically what David Menzies likes to do is he likes to go to these types of situations, and stir up a little bit of trouble. Try to get the sides actually combating each other and arguing and making clickbait material and stuff. It's just...
How far back do you want to go? Do you have no respect for the Most High? This land was given to the Jewish people. That is the way it is. It is not a place of an Islamic caliphate.
Ma'am, how do you fare as a member of the LGBT community in Gaza? What would happen to you if you were openly lesbian or trans?
Yes, let's make it about the queer people in Gaza, because it's not like, queer people have all the rights they want in Israel. Can't get married there. Not if you're queer. Not like Israel is a bastion for queer rights.
Everybody in Gaza would be killed not because of their sexual orientation, but because they were Palestinian. Get that through your thick skull.
We have a group here. It's called Queer and Trans People for Palestinian Liberation. And yet, how do you fare as a queer person or a trans person in Gaza?
How do you fare as a queer or trans person in Florida? Oh, right. Yeah, not well, huh?
As in Free Palestine. Hey guys, are you guys queers or
Anyway, about this, Judy Gold reposted this. Oops.
Today in Canadian news.
Yes, Judy Gold reposted this. This is like intervention level delusion to have. Reposting Rebel News like it's a good thing? Like they're on your side? I hate to break it to you, Judy, but Rebel News doesn't like you. Not so much as they will use queer people to attack, Hamas or something, saying how horrible it would be to live over there like that. but they're not exactly on the right side of these issues. They're a horrible, horrible organization. And if I were to ever, this would be like the same of me going to like a Jordan Peterson talk and him inviting me up on stage after saying, I've been seeing your history on X recently, and I think you're a very impressive, what is it, an NB you call yourself? An NB. Yes, you're a very impressive NB. This is not the people you want on your team. This is if you ever see a Rebel News article showing me in a good light, okay, there's been like a mere dimension crossover, like something has seriously gone wrong in this world. This is not a good thing. And it would be enough, I would hope, for you to maybe just pause a moment and ask yourself, what up? Why is it that this right-wing network, that this right-wing newspaper is supporting me, somebody who claims to be of the left? Why is it that they're doing these glowing reviews of me? It's kind of like when Anna Kasparian was, tweeting out her anti-trans BS, and she was getting quote tweeted by Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, that should make you question the message you're sending out. If they ever do for me, there's been an accident, like there's been a mistype, my butt mistyped something, it was a butt dial of some sort, where it was like all those screwy words that can come up into your recommends or something, and it made a jumbled sentence that, came across really poorly. Like I put myself out here. You see me for who I am. And I do this knowing full well that I have this wonderful community hanging out in the Sandbox right now, like Looney Tunes 9000. And if I ever do something that just makes you go full stop, what the fuck? I want to know. Because if all of you suddenly start telling me something is wrong, I believe you. Okay? We're a community. We're of the left. We're trying to pass the progressive message. That's what we want to do. A better future for the most amount of people. That's what we want. And if I've done something that seems to go really against that, then there's something wrong. Maybe I miscommunicated something, which is entirely possible. Or maybe I didn't have all the information. Because, again, I don't know how I would react to having a friend this much of a Zionist. Like, as I've said before, if I thought there was a chance that you could move them, then I would say, okay, still be friends with them. But if they are literally going on a tour to raise money for people who don't need money raised for them, because if you're part of the IDF, I'm pretty sure you're doing okay. It's not like you're doing it for free, as far as I know. If you're, the amount of effort and time and energy and resources it takes to go on a tour of any sort to support a genocidal campaign and then mock the people calling you out for it, I'm cutting you off if that's the case. I don't know the behind the scenes. I don't know if she's still friends with Sam. I don't want to get into their personal lives. All I know is that if I ever see her on the Majority Report again, I'm tuning it off. Like, I don't want to see it. I can't support her in any way whatsoever anymore. It is just, it's to know what's happening over there, to see it, to justify it, because it's not like they don't know. They know Tens of thousands of people have died. They know this, but they justify it because of, oh, October 7th, well, Hamas wants to wipe us all out. Well, you want to wipe out all Palestinians. Okay, this isn't about Hamas anymore. It's about, getting rid of all Palestinians within the Gaza Strip, within Israel. Okay, you're not defending yourself from Hamas at that point. And the best way to defend yourself against Hamas is to make Hamas obsolete, to make them not worth anything. And you do that by giving Palestinians their rights, by allowing them access to food, to medicine, to hospitals, to education, to freedom of movement across the border, to have lives, infrastructure. If they had all of that, Hamas would be irrelevant. They wouldn't be needed. Just absolutely disappointing to see that. And yeah, this is like intervention level of delusion. If Rebel Media ever covers me in this glowing positive light, please help me. Help me. Wow. Okay, let's check the sandbox, shall we? Looney Tunes 9000, Judy Gold is now blacklisted from MR. Hunger Games 1989, Yuck Yuck sounds like a place you go to get sick. Well, it's supposed to be like yuck yuck, like you're yucking it up. Yuck, 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 yuck. I don't know. As opposed to saying, yuck, this food. I don't know. They do comedy shows, so this is a touring comedy show. They have, like, Yuck Yucks will have its own programs, its own comedians and stuff. So this is basically somebody just renting out their venue for it. Hunger Games 1989. Got it. If Sandy is on the National Post, seek help for her and reach out. Got that. Looney Tunes 9000. Looney Tunes saying Free Palestine as well. Yeah, it's if I'm in the National Post, Mirror Dimension happened. That's the best explanation I can give you. Like, I suppose they have opinion pieces from time to time from people that are more left-leaning so they can try to say, oh, well, we're balanced. But the vast majority of their stuff really, well, there's more of it. We'll see in just a moment. Really right-wing framed and stuff. Hunger Games 1989. Hysterical white men and hysterical white women. I love it. Yeah. Glad I'm not in those categories because I'm non-binary. I am white, though. Not much about that, though. Hunger Games 1989. Looney Tunes 9000. How long before TYT has Judy Gold on because she was attacked by the dangerous left? I could see that happening. I could actually, yeah, I could see that happening. Looney Tunes 9000 to help Sandy build her studio. Please visit my Amazon wishlist, linked in the description box below. Looney Tunes also agreeing with Hunger Games about the potential of Judy Gold going on TYT. Yeah, check out those Rebel HQ contributors soon. It wouldn't surprise me. They tried to have comedians on. Well, they have Ben Glebe, so why not Judy Gold? My dogs are goth. Could be a sign of a stroke. Yes. Me on Rebel News. Sign of a stroke. Like, I just... MIDI doctors, Judy is dead to us. And Looney Tunes agreeing. Yeah, I always found... I don't like a lot of cursing, so it took me a while to kind of warm up to her a bit on Majority Report. But eventually I did. So it's disappointing to see this now. Yeah, just so disappointing. Because you like to think of certain people as intelligent. And then you see this, and just this complete unwillingness to see reality because of something you were taught when you were younger. Like, if anything, Sam is proof that you don't have to be indoctrinated into this BS, that you can see reality for what it is and break free from it. I just can't imagine what it would take to ignore what's happening in Gaza right now and justify it. Tens of thousands, over 10,000 children. But speaking of more delusional people when it comes to what's happening over there, previously on Left of the Box, I shared this clip of, she is a member of the Legislative Assembly in British Columbia. So that is the provincial level government. Here in Ontario, we call them members of provincial parliament, or MPP. In BC, it's MLA. Yeah, we have different names depending on which province you're on. Well, most other provinces, it's MLA, except if you're in Quebec, and then it's Member of National Assembly, so MNA. Got that? Got it. Good, great. Canadian politics for the win. But she was on like a Zoom conference call, and Selina Robinson said this on camera, knowing it is being recorded.
We have a whole generation, and we know from the data that it's 18 to 34-year-olds that have no idea about the Holocaust. They don't even think it happened. They don't even understand that Israel was offered to the Jews who were displaced.
Who offered Israel to the Jews exactly? Was it the people living there? Somebody just walked up to me and said, you know what? Your neighbor's house, I'm offering it to you. Go live there. Doesn't work like that.
So they have no connection to how it started. They don't understand that it was a crappy piece of land with nothing on it. You know, there were, several 100,000 people, but other than that,
a crappy piece of land with nothing on it. Well, except for the several hundred thousands of people. Yeah.
It didn't produce an economy. It couldn't grow things. It didn't have anything on it. And that it was the folks who were displaced that came, and the people who had been living there for generations, and together they worked hard, and they had their own battles, right? We know the history. We have a whole generation, and we know from the data that it's 18.
Yeah. So those hundreds of thousands of people that were living there already, they didn't have an economy. They weren't growing things, they're okay. Then why were they there? Hundreds of thousands of people. And the thing is that they were growing things. They had a culture. They had an economy. They had wonderful things that these settler countries just came and destroyed. It was their land that they were living on, their homes, the Nakba. Horrible. And she's a member of Canadian government saying this on camera. Now, it shouldn't surprise many people. There was a little bit of backlash on this. A little bit. People were quite upset with what she said, as they should be. And we did it. We applied enough pressure for her to step down as a cabinet minister. let's see. Yeah. Selina Robinson steps down as BC's minister following controversial comments. So, she stepped down as a cabinet minister, but she's still a member of the Legislative Assembly. You know, she's still an MLA. She's still part of the BC NDP. Now, you see, here in Ontario, we also have an NDP, not the same as the BC NDP. But here in Ontario, we have an MPP, not the same as an MLA, but same type of job. Sarah Jama, she was a member of the Ontario NDP, and shortly after October 7th, she tweeted out a message, made a statement saying, you know, there needs to be a ceasefire. And because of that, she was censured and kicked out of the NDP. She now sits as an independent and is an awesome person, just totally kick ass. So I wonder what the difference between Sarah Jama and, let's see, this woman was. Actually, why don't I will pull up a picture. Maybe we can figure it out together. Let's see here. Okay. So we have here Sarah Jama, and we have here Selina Robinson. I wonder what the difference is between Sarah Jama and Selina Robinson. Why is it that she still has her job with the NDP, but she does not? I'm at a loss. You know, Sarah, who is Muslim of Somali descent, living with disabilities. There's something, I think there's something else very particular about her that maybe separates her from Selina. Can't think of it. Can't think of the reason. Yeah. So, Selina Robinson is stepping down as BC's Minister of Advanced Education, Premier David Eby announced on Monday afternoon. She will remain in the BC NDP caucus. Gets to keep her job there. Now, just to show you some of the framing going around this story, from CBC News, Jewish groups decry Robinson's cabinet exit as Eby slams hateful messages on constituency office. The former minister resigned Monday over comments on the Middle East. BC Premier David Eby has criticized what he's calling hateful messages. We'll get to that in a moment. Her exit on Monday has been decried by Jewish groups, but wasn't enough to satisfy some of her critics. We'll get to this in a moment. Selina's office, okay. Robinson, who is Jewish, stepped down as post-secondary education minister on Monday following a sustained outcry over her comments last week that modern Israel was founded on a crappy piece of land. She announced her resignation from cabinet after critics call her comments racist and Islamophobic. Robinson and Eby said she would remain in the NDP caucus. The resignation comes amid ongoing tensions and global protest over the Israel-Hamas war, in which thousands have died since October 7th, when Hamas militants killed 1,200 people and took another 250 hostages. So yeah, that's thousands. So we have what Hamas did, okay, the Israel-Hamas war, I'm seeing here that there was, okay, 1,200 people killed in, I think you're missing some information here. Yeah. Wonder, it feels like there's something maybe not put in the comment right there to kind of put more context on it. Like the 27,000 people killed in Gaza by Israel. Funny, like, was this a word count thing that they had to cut down the words, maybe? Huh. Funny, and 250 hostages. They say something like 30% of them are already gone. A lot of them actually killed by the activities of the IDF, and not mentioning anything about all the hostages Israel has, all the Palestinians that have been arrested over the years for no cause whatsoever and being held in torturous conditions. Huh. Funny how the CBC missed that in this article. Officials at Robinson's constituency office were not immediately available for comment. Robinson's exit from the NDP cabinet has caused deep concerns for some members of BC's Jewish community who said they lost an advocate who admitted her mistake and was willing to make amends. Yes, the Jewish community lost one Zionist out of dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens in the Canadian government. Yeah, who's going to represent them now? Huh? Robinson apologized twice, you hear me? In the days before her resignation, saying, "My words were inappropriate, wrong, and I now understand how they have contributed to Islamophobia and anti-Palestinian racism." Do you? Do you understand? Do you? Oh, but that apology twice. Whew. But it didn't quell the criticism or save her place in cabinet. Nico, Pacific Vice President of the Center of Israel and Jewish Affairs, said Robinson's removal undermines the Jewish community's confidence in BC's government and signaled that Jewish leaders were held to a different standard than others. Sorry. Different standards? Different. Yeah, she is being held to a different standard. Just not the one you think. Oh, which article? It was this article. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've lost my place. Was it this article? Oh no, it was this one, yeah. Different standards, different, So Nico said in a statement that the Jewish community has lost a strong voice at a time of increasing acts of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel protests. Why are there anti-Israel protests going on right now? Why? Anti-Semitism, bad. I don't agree with that at all. There should be no anti-Semitism. Keep in mind that when they say there's been an increase in anti-Semitic violence, they also include things like people saying Palestinians shouldn't be genocided. That's considered like hate speech towards the Jewish community from some officials. Yeah, so that's why you're seeing such a huge increase. It's just anyone saying anything pro-Palestinian is now considered to be anti-Semitic, or anything saying, Israel shouldn't be doing the genocide, that's considered anti-Semitic. South Africa, anti-Semitic right now. Just totally anti-Semitic with what they're doing with the ICJ. ICJ, anti-Semitic. The community is both offended and hurt by what has happened to a great ally and British Columbian, he said, given the obvious double standard and loss of Jewish representation in cabinet. Premier David Eby must share what steps he is going to take to repair the relationship and restore the community's trust in him and his government. Double standard. Yeah, there is one. There is. There's a double standard. Rat Boy support for Robinson. You know, you're not. The thing about this article is they're not really saying much about the other perspective either, are we? We believe you have capitulated to a small but loud group of people, said the letter from the association. This is dangerous for our community and the strength of our province's democracy. Yeah. EB later called it a mistake by staff members or something. So, how else was this framed in the mainstream media? National Post! Selina Robinson's ouster shows NDP has no place for Jews who don't submit. Ken, if you ever see my name attached to an article from this newspaper, help me. I need your help. Something has gone seriously wrong with my head. Her comment that Israel was a crappy piece of land in 1948 was indelicate but hardly a lie. God. To be honest, I haven't even really read this article. I read the headline. I haven't really read the article. I'm almost feeling like it would be Islamophobic to read this article out loud. Just given what that... we don't need to read this trash out loud. And so then we have this one, which was a more balanced response. Selina Robinson steps down as BC minister following controversial comments. That was the initial article that I was kind of reading from. Seems to be a little bit more balanced from the global news here, which they tend to be a little bit more. And then we have the left-wing perspective here. Selina Robinson should be kicked out of the NDP. Yes, yes. That is a bias I can get behind. From the Maple. If the NDP cared about anti-Palestinian racism, Robinson would have been booted months ago. Because this isn't the first time she said pretty offensive things. The NDP is a safe space for anti-Palestinian racists. This was made clear by the fact it took growing public pressure for British Columbia Premier David Eby to announce that MLA Selina Robinson would be stepping down from her cabinet role, blah, 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 blah. If the NDP cared about anti-Palestinian racism, she would have been kicked out. Let's see... The context of Robinson spewing these racist lies, ones that are embedded in the DNA of narratives that seek to justify or whitewash the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from their land by Zionist settlers in 1948 to 49, was her claiming that 18 to 34-year-olds have no idea about history. As many pointed out, her racist lies essentially regurgitated the colonial concept of terra nullius, the legal fallacy invoked by European settlers to justify stealing land from indigenous peoples. Okay, let's go back to the National Post and let's see if there's a contrast here. So putting aside its uncouthness, a crappy piece of land with nothing on it isn't too far removed from the agrarian backwater that was the British mandate for Palestine. At the time of its founding in 1948, Israel's GDP per capita was paltry compared to countries with advanced economies, as it inherited a pre-industrial economy based on exporting fruit to neighboring lands. Since then, Israel has grown its economy 12-fold, a modern economic miracle that rivals South Korea's post-war transformation in scale. Yeah. So while Robinson's wording could have been better, she was likely trying to make an oft-repeated and generally accurate point about the Israel's rapid economic transformation and celebrated emergence of a globally competitive cutting-edge economy following independence. Huh. Quite the difference between National Post and the Maple. Only one is based in fact. Well, they're cherry picking, you know. Maybe the economy in that area from a settler colonial perspective increased since Israel took it over, but there was an economy and culture and everything going on there. They were doing fine. They were doing fine, you know. They were doing fine, and then the Palestinians were brutalized by other countries coming in, taking their land, kicking them off, burning down their agriculture, destroying, you know, ties to their community, their history. Something that, you know, the National Post and people like Selina like to leave out of the narrative for some reason. So apparently, if we go back a few tweets here, we decorated Selina Robinson's office to let her know we don't want her as our MLA and that she needs to be ousted as the NDP leader. So this is the thing that I was getting at before.
Hello everyone, me and my comrades came here and we've done a little bit of decorating here.
Look at that. We do not accept your apology. That's in sidewalk chalk right there.
We've done a little bit of decorating here at
Free
Selina
Palestine?
Robinson's office.
Yep, free Palestine, free Palestine. Goodbye, Selina. Crappy piece of parliament, resign from caucus. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think,
Oh, look. Post-it notes. We got post-it notes on the door.
We got our point across. Let me know.
Gaza lives.
We certainly let her know what we think, and we want her out.
There's a watermelon.
The NDP caucus.
Selina Robinson is a disgrace to Canadian education. Yeah, like keep in mind she was an education minister spewing nonsense like that. she well qualified for that job. We got Zionism, it's Nazism. No argument.
Refuse to have an MLA that's a racist. So her stepping down as the education minister is not enough. We need her out of the caucus. Immediately, we refuse.
What does it say right up there? So we got no Zionist, aka Jewish supremacist, as our MLA. Looks like there's pictures probably of some of the stuff going on over there. I can't quite see it.
Refuse to have an MLA that's a racist. Like and share, everybody. And free Palestine.
So from Lisa McLeod, a politician here in Ontario, she is, I believe, yeah, well, she's conservative. Something the conservatives and liberals can get behind: Zionism. Politicians in Canada are democratically elected. Disagree with a politician? Fine. Want to work to get someone else elected next time? Fine. Feel like harassing and intimidating and vandalizing them and or their office to make them feel unsafe? You've committed a crime and should be held accountable. Politicians in Canada deserve to do our jobs without threats like these. We should all have zero tolerance for this, and we must all speak out so it's not normalized. Lisa, MPP. It's Ontario. I'm sorry, you said what? Your party censured Sarah Jama for just saying there should be a ceasefire. Sarah Jama was made to not feel safe in Parliament. because she was getting no protections from anyone else. Her office was under attack. You weren't tweeting out shit when this was happening to Sarah. In fact, you were part of the problem. So what's that? We should have a zero tolerance for this? You know, I'll agree with some of those articles. There does seem to be a double standard going on. And this is Joy Henderson saying white women challenge to not confuse discomfort with safety. It's sidewalk chalk and post it at a public office. It's very much time to make politicians feel uncomfortable for being racist. They work for us, paid by us, and need to be reminded of that. Yeah, unless you have like an intense phobia of paper cuts, there is nothing there a good rain couldn't wash away. Oh no, the protest was defeated by rain. That's pretty much what would happen in that situation. Like, you know, no permanent damage, not even damage that's difficult to clean up. Also from more politicians. This is childish and gross and has nothing to do with the many legit groups that protested Selina Robinson. If it isn't intended to discredit the movement to stop genocide in Gaza, it might as well be. Journos, I know you can't help yourself, but please don't fall for this. Post-it notes and sidewalk chalk. If we're not allowed to protest with that, what are we allowed to protest with? You know, there's nothing... I could understand how Zionists being compared to Nazis would feel offensive, but it's not offensive. And yeah, he's a filmmaker, activist, educator, and former NDP candidate. So NDP, liberal, conservatives, all on the same side when it comes to Zionism. He also, as far as I know, said nothing when Sarah Jama got kicked out of caucus. Jesse Brown, you led this witch hunt, and now you're trying to distance yourself from the results. You say it's merely childish, then you suggest it's a hoax, but you have no evidence that it's anything but hateful act that it is. Then you scold journalists for doing what you imagine they would do. Maybe take some responsibility for what you've done to another human being, says Jesse Brown, who is a publisher in Canada land who's had some controversy lately around Zionism and what's been happening in Gaza and stuff. There's been some controversy there. And Jessa says, keep in mind, Jesse had nothing to say about Selina Robinson's anti-Palestinian racism, but he's very distraught at the sight of post-it notes on her office window. He's not even pretending to be a journalist anymore. Yes, they're not saying anything about all the horrible, horrible Islamophobic stuff that's been happening, the anti-Palestinian racism that's been happening. There's no mention, they never mention the tens of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza who have been slaughtered, innocent babies and children, people just living their lives. They're nowhere to ever go back home to. Their entire communities, everything they knew wiped off the face of the earth, but post-it notes. Yeah, I can get I can see where it's fair. Yeah. That was sarcasm there. Yeah. Post-it notes? Concrete slabs that were used to be cities. I don't know. And Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the federal NDP, who really should have stepped down. They really should have had a leadership review in the last convention they had, but they didn't, unfortunately. Peaceful protests cannot include hateful messages. The targeting of MLA Selina Robinson's office with hateful message is wrong. And Agent NDN saying, what was hateful about it? Be honest. Yeah, what was hateful about anything you saw there? I can't think of anything. The post-it notes just saying, you know, free Palestine and resign. And I didn't see any hateful messages. And again, where was Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, when Sarah Jama was being targeted by the Ontario NDP and kicked out of caucus for simply saying there should be a ceasefire, something that he and his party later agreed with? Huh? And the Serbs pointed out the message was free Palestine and a watermelon in chalk. Because, you know, again, just undiluted anti-Semitism raw. And then somebody replying to this person saying, Terry, which message was anti-Semitic? And Terry replying, fuck off. Because there's really, go back to what the agent NDN said, what was hateful about it? Be honest. And this person here, Sean Orr, saying, Terry, which message? Asking this person who seems to be offended by this, what was hateful about this? You know, but there's lots of hateful things happening to the people in Gaza right now. That, you know, genocide. Joy Henderson, she needs a lot more than EDI training. What's this about? So, this is one of the apology statements from Selina. She says she will take anti-Islamophobic training in a statement from the NDP caucus. There's no mention of resigning from cabinet, as some have called for her to do. NDP faces protests at its caucus meetings. Let's get a feel for the language she put in this, shall we? My recent comments have caused pain and distress with the Palestinian community, the Muslim community, and beyond. I am very sorry. I bear full responsibility. My words were inappropriate, wrong, and I now understand how they have contributed to Islamophobia and anti-Palestinian racism. During a time of crisis, when many innocent people are being killed, including Palestinians and Jews with family in British Columbia, those positions of power have a responsibility to bring people together. My comments, however, did the opposite and contributed to further division. I know that my comments have additionally caused pain, including among Indigenous communities, for perpetrating harmful narratives of colonialism. The experiences of First Nations people are not mine to manipulate. That was wrong, and I'm deeply sorry. Wait, what? What? What are we talking? I thought she was apologetic. What? Oh, it has something to do with this. In that same little speech thing that she also said this.
I will say here in British Columbia, where we're very focused on reconciliation, if there was a conflict between the Tsleil-Waututh and the Squamish nations over a piece of land, would we weigh in, regular people? And the answer is no. It's between these nations, the Indigenous nations. I will say here in British,
it's between Indigenous peoples. It's nothing to do with us regular people. Okay? Ah, ha, ha. Did we hear that right? Did we hear that right? Did we?
British Columbia, where we're very focused on reconciliation, if there was a conflict between the Tsleil-Waututh and the Squamish nations over a piece of land, would we weigh in, regular people? And the answer is no. It's between these nations, the Indigenous nations. I will say here.
Yeah, she said that. Not regular people don't deal with that sort of stuff. It's between the First Nations if they have a conflict. That's regular people. We don't bother with that. Holy fuck. The BC NDP has a bit of a history being anti-Indigenous. They've done things, said things, passed policies, ignored things. I've covered some of it in some of my previous live streams. As far as progressive parties go in Canada, and NDP is considered one of the leftist parties, British Columbia NDP is its own thing. It's not very much on the left with much of anything. And you see, the thing is that this was done at that speech. It's part of a pattern. So, Erica saying white women claiming to be unsaved is weaponization by white women to spaces of color, the next iteration of white tears. So this was from September 2022.
I even remember feeling unsafe around the Wet'suwet'en protests.
Wet'suwet'en is First Nations. They were protesting the invasion of their land to have a pipeline shoved through it. So more anti-Indigenous rhetoric right there. And she was afraid. You see, she was afraid of this.
I even remember feeling unsafe around the Wet'suwet'en protests. People were violently angry, and their words were violent.
And you can see it's billed as a government shutdown. However, they have been very peaceful. They said, we're not protesters, we are picketers.
I even remember
I saw a hurt. BC government shutdown, Wet'suwet'en solidarity. I've been to some protests about that. You see, there's a heart. They just, you know, they don't want their land to be invaded by the Canadian government and have a pipeline shoved through it. But this poor white woman felt unsafe around all of this. Looks like they were singing or chanting, you know. I don't think they were conjuring up anything. I don't think they had that ability. She was safe. She was just uncomfortable. Back to her her thing here. I am grateful to each person that has expressed to me their feeling of pain, anger, sorrow, and outrage. All of it is valid. You're valid. You're a valid person. I'm validating your existence. You're valid. I also know that there will be those who are not willing to speak with me. I have broken the trust of many, including friends and allies. Is it fair for them to not want to engage with me? I know I will have to earn back their trust. I am committed to learning from this significant mistake. To that end, I will be taking part in anti-Islamophobic training to more deeply understand the concerns that have been expressed to me. I am committed to making amends, learning from the pain I have caused, and doing whatever I can to build relationships. I am sorry. I will do better. By taking down her Twitter account. She couldn't handle it, so she her Twitter account doesn't exist anymore. Doesn't feel safe on Twitter anymore, does she? Yeah. Yeah. Twitter, not a safe space. No. Just couldn't handle that. Totally unsafe there. We'll get on to the next one very shortly. I want to try to speed this up because I know Letterhack will be having Looney Tunes 9000 on tonight, I believe, for a call-in show, and I want to be off air by then, if possible. So we'll quickly shoot through some of this other stuff. Let's check the Sandbox. We got that, we got that. Looney Tunes, I want to read your comments, but you just keep on replying to other people that I have no context what you're replying to. Oh well. Looney Tunes says to MIDI doctors, damn straight. Yeah, I agree with whatever. What did MIDI doctors just say? Oh, the blockaded thing. Okay. MIDI doctor, pesky tens of thousands of people. Yeah. People talking about brainwashing in relation to Judy Gold. Body press wrestling. The several hundred-year-old olive trees must have slipped her mind. Yeah. It's in Costco recently, and they were showcasing some fruit or something, saying, "Oh, this is product of Israel." I'm like, you might not want to showcase that. Body press wrestling again seems about white. I don't recognize your name. Welcome to the Sandbox. Nice to have you here. See if I slip into my Canadian accent a little bit more now that we were watching that Dave Menzies thing, eh? Hunger Games, 1989. I mean, race couldn't have anything to do with it. No. Sarah Jama, calling for a ceasefire. That was the line. Looney Tunes 9000, Sandy reads chats and super chats from this chat. Send in your super chats while you can. Am I quieter on your devices? Yeah, I'm still working out that whole balance with audio thing, and then every audio I listen to online is different. Sorry about that. Brenda Knowles, sidewalk chalk is threatening. Talk about snowflakes. It is threatening. I've seen it on sidewalks before, usually with boxes, and it's like a hopscotch thing. I think kids still play hopscotch. I don't know. Grand Theft Autobot. Oh no, post-it notes. Terrifying. Yeah. Okay, let's get on to the next aggrieved white woman. This caught my eye for reasons that are hilarious, actually. So some of you might remember this woman here, Gina Carano, Fire Mandalorian actor Gina Carano sues Lucasfilms Disney with help from Elon Musk. Oh, really? Okay, this is interesting. Los Angeles actor Gina Carano on Tuesday sued Lucasfilms and its parents, the Walt Disney Company, over her 2021 firing from The Mandalorian, saying she was let go for expressing right-wing views on social media. The lawsuit Carano filed with the help from X, formerly Twitter, in federal court in California, alleges her wrongful termination from the Star Wars Galaxy Disney streaming series. You know what? Being part of anything to do with Disney right now, not exactly a feather in your cap. At least it's not Marvel. After 2 seasons, over a post liking the treatment of American conservatives to the treatment of Jews in Nazi Germany. We'll get to that in just a moment. So, Disney and Lucasfilms. So the lawsuit alleges that she was fired because she dared to voice her own opinions against an online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive ideology. Disney and Lucasfilms have not filed a response to the lawsuit, and representatives did not immediately respond to an email requesting comment. Lucasfilm stuff, blah, 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 blah. So, So yeah, she's a former mixed martial artist. You know, I actually liked that she was in some of these movies. Like she was in Deadpool, one of the Fast and Furious movies, because it was just nice to have a woman that wasn't exactly like all the other women. You know, she's built up, she's strong, that sort of thing. Hardly like the damsel in distress type stereotype of woman. But yeah, she then went on to star in right-wing movies and got no fame or anything from it. Let's get to... Oh, this doesn't have the amount in it. The next article does. Yeah, so the lawsuit says that Carano willingly took part in Zoom meetings with leaders of LGBTQ plus 2S group at the company's behest with very positive results, but the Lucasfilm demanded that a public apology in which she admitted to mocking or insulting entire groups of people, which Carano has never done, and subjected her to other harassment over the issue. Carano said on social media Tuesday that X helped fund the lawsuit. X owner Elon Musk shared her post, adding anyone else who felt they had been wronged by the company should let us know if you would like to join the lawsuit against Disney. Let's see. Oh, Carano had previously been criticized for social media posts that mocked mask wearing during a pandemic and made false allegations of voter fraud during the 2020 presidential election. She also mocked the use of gender pronouns in profiles listing beep boop bop. In her social media bio, she said this was not about mocking trans people, but Star Wars reference to R2-D2. And the lawsuit calls it a playful way to diffuse the harassment she had received, but alleges the issue, blah, blah, blah. So if we go to this article here, it actually says how much she's going for. Yeah. So Carano brings claims for wrongful discharge and sex discrimination. She seeks a court order that would force Lucasfilms to recast her. I'm going to force you to work with me again, and add at least $75,000 plus punitive damages. Some of us have been unjustly singled out, harassed, persecuted, and had our livelihood stripped away because we dared to encourage conversation and ask questions and refused to go along with the mob, she said in a statement. So the thing is that Elon Musk is actually helping her out with this. Yeah, so the suit says Disney required Carano, who was paid $25,000 per episode as a guest actor, to later negotiate a one-time $5,000 bonus to meet with representatives of all that sort of stuff. Let's see. Where does it get into Elon? On X funding the suit, Carano added, I am honored that my case has been chosen to be supported by the company that has been one of the last glimmers of hope for free speech in the world. Yeah. On X, last year, Musk pledged to fund legal action for users on X who claimed they have faced discrimination by their employees over activity on the platform. The offer came with no limit on costs, with Musk saying he would go after the board of directors of the companies too. Amid a hardening position on issues such as gender politics and race in the Republican Party, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis made a holding woke corporation accountable one of the main blah, 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 blah. But the reason why this really, really caught my attention is this here is the thingy, the court thingy, what they actually handed into the court. So from the plaintiff, the Walt Disney Company, Lucasfilm stuff, complaint. So this was actual documentation for court filing. This is the court filing here. So this is actual court documentation from Gina Carano and her. You're not ready for this, but you will be. Okay. Plaintiff Gina Carano, though underassigned counsel, files this complaint for damages and equitable relief against defendants, the Walt Disney Company. Introduction. A short time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. And it was so. And so it was with Carano. After 2 highly acclaimed seasons on The Mandalorian as the Rebel Ranger Cara Dune, Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star in an earlier Star Wars film. And all of this because she dared to voice her own opinions on social media platforms and elsewhere and stood up to online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive ideology. Defendants' wrath over their employees' social media posts also differed depending on sex. Even though the force is female, defendants chose to target a woman while looking the other way when it came to men. While Carano was fired, defendants took no action against male actors who took equally or more vigorous and controversial positions on social media. But the rule of law still resides over the defendant's empire, and with Carano has returned to demand that they be held accountable for their bullying, discriminatory, and retaliatory actions that inflicted not only substantial emotional harm, but millions of dollars in lost income. I need to see this in Star Wars Scroll. Please, somebody who's better at this than me. I need to see this in Star Wars Scroll going on the screen. Can somebody please do that, please? Wow. Oh, you tweet out some BS and you have to live with the consequences, and this is what it came to. Looney Tunes, maybe you can tell me, when does your thing with letter hacks start? Does it start at 8:30 or does it start at 8? I'll start reading some of these chats. Oh. My dogs are goths, staying on the NDP, yes. My dogs are goth. If it's National Post, we know what it says already. Yes, yes. My dogs are goth. I can hear Sandy just turned all the way up. I've been trying to figure out audio a little bit better on this. We'll see how it goes. My dogs are goth. Go ahead and waste some money, Elon. Some more money, Elon. It's fun to watch, yes. John Litham, it's always both hilarious and infuriating how overblown these sorts of texts are. Yeah. Andrew Case, Star Trek is better. Agreed. Grand Theft Autobot, is this a joke? Someone need to mock this by making Star Wars like opening text crawl with the Imperial March play instead of the Star Wars theme. Yes, somebody please do that. And then make sure you tag Jesse Gender in that. That's where I found out about this, was from a tweet from Jesse Gender, not believing this was real, but then finding out it was. Oh, letter hack, it's on now, actually. Ooh, okay. Okay. Because I still have a bunch to go through. Oh my god, it's already 8 o'clock. I've been at this for 2 hours. Because other aggrieved white women. When is this happening? Other aggrieved white women I was going to get to was more stuff happening with Premier Danielle Smith in her horrible stances on stuff. And let's see. And Polyev backing her up. Covered a lot of that. So, oh, and then there was that whole thing with Maid that I was going to get into. Okay, so I might have to save that for the next stream so that we can all get over and say hi to Letterhack and Looney Tunes 9000. So on that, so yes, next stream we'll be talking a bit more about Danielle Smith and how she's harming LGBTQ plus people, particularly trans people in Alberta. And Pierre Polyev backing her up on it and just how dangerous that's going to be. And then also I'm going to update people on Made in Canada. What are you doing? What are you doing? There we go. Oh, I guess that page is no longer there. I'll have to find a news article about it. Basically, there was a lot of people upset on my little video about medical assistance in dying when I was talking to Ravana, because they're like, oh, well, they're upset always when I talk about that subject. I probably have the most nuanced take on it. But in just a little while ago, there's been notice that legislation will be tabled to extend it. So MAID was supposed to be expanded to people whose sole condition was mental health in March. And legislation is being tabled to delay that for another 3 years. And I was going to talk about that. So I guess I can save that for my next live stream, which will not be Friday. I need to take Friday off again just to get caught up on stuff. But on Sunday's live stream, the one, the only, Bam from the Power Report will be on stream with me. Bam. Yes, Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Please come check out my live stream where I will be live with Bam. And we can talk about medical assistance in Canada and some other things that we're going to go over, which should be a lot of fun. Bam is a fantastic person. I'm really looking forward to having some good conversation with him. And don't warn him about the Canadian quiz. That would be fun. So let's wrap this up quickly so we can all jump into the Letterhack stream. I've been having to take Frodo back to the vet regularly. If you can, please help out with his vet bills. He's my world. He really is. You can help out by the PayPal link in the description box below, or if you're Canadian, you can send an e-transfer to SandeeLovas@gmail.com. Yeah, I'm on all these platforms over here that you see, but still primarily the Hostile Fart Sauna. If you can, please support my content by becoming a patron. I've been losing a lot lately because people are in hard times, and I understand that. So please only sign up if you have the money to spare. If not, I understand, but you can like and share the stream. That always helps. Go check out the clips that I've been posting daily to my channel. Comment on them, like them, share them. Comment on other people's comments. All of that helps them get noticed and will help build my channel. And all of that is greatly appreciated. I also have a wish list in the description box below so that you can help buy things for the studio, for my art, for my cats, just to make me smile. All of it is greatly appreciated. Thank you everyone for coming out. It's been a blast this stream. Working on smoothing out my style, but we'll get there. With your support, we'll get there. Thank you to all the wonderful mods. I really appreciate it. And yeah, everyone head over to the Letterhack on his channel. And we can see him and Looney Tunes 9000. So see you all Sunday. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.